Let's take a look at 4-5. We're going to solve rational equations. And if you recall, a rational number is a fraction. And so when we're solving rational equations, we are solving equations that have fractions, and our fractions are going to have variables in them. So we're still going to use our properties of equality. Now, I want to isolate this x, and right now it's in the denominator. I need to get it out of the denominator. And as you recall, that fraction bar is division. So we undo division with multiplication. So in order to get this x plus 4 out of the denominator, I'm going to multiply both sides by x plus 4. Okay, so now if I were to multiply across, I would have x plus 4 divided by x plus 4. Any number divided by itself is 1, so we can reduce these out. I'm now left with 1 equals 2 times x plus 4. Okay, let's use our distributive property. 1 equals 2x plus 8. I'm going to subtract the 8 from both sides. I get negative 7 equals 2x. And then we need to divide out that 2, and I'm left with negative 7 halves equals x. Let's look at another. Now here I have x minus 3 in the denominator. So in order to get it out, I'm going to multiply both sides by x minus 3. Here, my x minus 3 is reduced down to 1, and I'm left with 1 equals 5 times x minus 3. Use your distributive property. 1 equals 5x minus 15. I'm going to add 15 to both sides. That gives me 16 equals 5x. Divide out the 5, and I get 16/5 equals x. Now let's learn how to identify an extraneous solution. So here, I'm going to go ahead, we're going to solve this. First thing I want to do is I want to factor. If I see a quadratic, break it down into its factors. So let's rewrite this. I'm going to have 1 over x minus 5 plus x all over x minus 3 equals 2 over, I'm going to drop in my parentheses. I know I have a leading coefficient of 1. I'm going to drop in my x's. My c value is positive. That tells me my signs are the same. If I look to the middle term, that tells me they both have to be negative. And now two numbers, when I multiply them, I get positive 15, and I add them, I get a negative 8. That would be negative 3 and negative 5. So now I'm factored. Now I want to clear my denominator. So I know before, if I have something in the denominator and I want to get it out, I have to multiply both sides by whatever I'm trying to get rid of. I'm just going to go ahead and drop in another set of parentheses. So over here, I want to get rid of x minus 5. So that means I'm going to multiply both sides by x minus 5. I also want to multiply or get rid of this x minus 3. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by x minus 3. Now, if you look over at this side, notice I've got an x minus 3 and x minus 3. These will reduce out. X minus 5 over x minus 5, those are going to reduce out. So after I do this multiplication, I won't have anything left in my denominator. I'm going to go ahead and distribute this to both of my terms. So if I distribute the quantity x minus 3 times the quantity of x minus 5, here we go. We have 1 times x minus 3 times x minus 5 plus, I'm going to get my denominator in there, x minus 5 plus x times x minus 3 times x minus 5 all over x minus 3 equals 2 times x minus 5 times x minus 3 all over x minus 3 times x minus 5. Okay, now let's reduce. So here I have an x minus 5 and an x minus 5. Those are going to go away. X minus 3, x minus 3, x minus 5, there's another x minus 5, and my x minus 3s are going to reduce out. Notice everything is gone from the denominator. We now have 1 times the quantity x minus 3. Well, I'm just going to write that as x minus 3 plus x times x minus 5 equals, all that's left here is 2. Let's use the distributive property. I have x minus 3 plus x squared minus 5x equals 2. I'm going to start by putting my highest degree first. We'll start working this towards standard form. I can combine like terms. X minus 5x is a negative 4x minus 3 equals 2. If I want to solve a quadratic, it has to be set equal to 0. So let's subtract that 2 from both sides. And I get x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0. And now again, we're solving. This is going to need to be factored. Drop the parentheses in. I could put my x's in. My c value is negative. That tells me my signs have to be different. One's going to be positive, one's negative. Two numbers, when I multiply them, I get negative 5. I add them, I get negative 4. So that is going to be a negative 5 and a positive 1. Let's use the zero product property to solve. X plus 1 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. So I get answers of x equals negative 1 and x equals positive 5. But now we have to stop and take a look back at the original equation. Notice here, if x equals 5, my function becomes undefined. If x equals 3, my function becomes undefined. So when I went ahead and I solved this, notice how I got out an x equals 5? This is what is called an extraneous solution. And an extraneous solution arises when you solve and you get an x value that when you come back and you input it into your original function, it's going to make a denominator 0, which makes the function undefined. So this is not a solution. My solution is only x equals negative 1.